Jonathan, Chainalysis is actually releasing a new tool that would help users identify whether, as I understand it, the people they're interacting with are sanctioned entities. Can you explain a little bit how this works?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much for having me. So essentially what we've seen in sanctions in the US come out recently and over the past few years as it comes back to cryptocurrencies is that OFAC, the regulator that oversees all of sanctions, actually lists addresses from cryptocurrency blockchains like listed on the screen. And that actually helps people understand whether they're interacting with people that are sanctioned individuals that they're prohibited from interacting with. And so, what we have released out there is an ability for anyone in the world, free of charge, to actually screen transactions that they're processing against that API or against our smart contract oracle to see whether they are hitting up against one of those listed addresses by OFAC.
Now, I'm wondering what you think, Jonathan, of the role of intermediaries here, exchanges, and the necessity to work with lawmakers and regulators. Do you think that there's more of a role that they need to play in order to make sure that the rules are being followed?
Yeah, I think that, well, the industry has been preparing for this moment for a really long time, and you've had, exchanges and financial institutions really, as they step into the space and mature all of their risk and compliance programs, really go into business as usual. They know what the scenarios are, they know what they needed to do, and they've been sort of adapting to all of the latest actions by OFAC and regulators around the world that have taken steps to broaden sanctions. So I think from that standpoint, it's sort of business as usual, albeit a little bit busier than usual in a lot of the sanctions teams in those financial institutions.
Right. So, Jonathan, how much evidence are you seeing of Russians potentially using cryptocurrency to circumvent these rules?
So currently, we are tracking very closely the macro environment, right? We're looking at all of the entry points and exit points from the Russian economy into cryptocurrencies and tracking sort of changes in liquidity, changes in volumes, different patterns of transactions to really understand has there been a systemic change in the way in which people are using cryptocurrency in Russia and potentially evading sanctions? And so far, we're not seeing sort of the systemic level of cryptocurrency being used to evade sanctions that people were worried about sort of at the beginning of this.
How do you think about the role of cyber attacks in this war more largely? Is there evidence that this can become a bigger issue here? And what's the role here of folks in the crypto community who are also thinking about this at scale?
Yeah, I think it's a great question because really what we've seen in this war in general is that cyber is a domain as part of this warfare. You're seeing sort of increased cyber attacks on Ukrainian internet infrastructure. And we've seen sort of activity to do with Conti ransomware really increase as there have been some leaks and some reestablishment of Conti as sort of the dominant ransomware family out there. And so really it's incumbent on everyone in the industry to work really closely with government and share information about the attacks that are happening so that there can be sort of indicators and shared intelligence across geographies and across business. So I think that there's a lot more partnership to be done, and you're seeing a lot of the development of these task forces and a reprioritization of that in the US.
You believe the war in Ukraine is a key inflection point for the crypto industry. How do you see this playing out?
I think that one thing it's done is it's really surfaced that cryptocurrency can be used for humanitarian purposes. With a distinct example here of the speed by which money was able to go from donors in all these different countries around the world into the hands of the Ukrainian government, and then for them to purchase military equipment and emergency food supplies to be able to actually finance some of the defense of their country. That is a really sort of tangible example that is now in the minds of a lot of people around the world. The other thing here is that it is actually possible to have sanctions compliance for cryptocurrency businesses around the world. And so I think the combination of the legitimacy and the utility of cryptocurrency coming to the forefront, as well as sort of this increased focus and scrutiny on the regulatory piece, is going to breed sort of an inflection point in how regulated cryptocurrency businesses are able to function in Western economies.